In this section, I am going to cover sixth chapter, which is two-way data binding. Uh, let's create a folder for this as usual. I'll just copy our fifth chapter's code to six two-way data binding so that we can continue from where we left. So we have this, we have app.js, so let me open the uh, index.html of sixth chapter. I think it's already open, so it's fine. Now let me explain you the concept of two-way data binding. For that I'll need a input text field, input type equal to text. So this is a very a normal input text field. So I'm going to introduce you to a new directive called ng model. Suppose I give it a name, for example message, or say name, and if I print the name, if I refresh it, so I see a input of type text. If I print a name, David, so you can see as I am changing this input field, so this model with the name is also getting changed. So the job of the directive ng model is to bind a input field to a model, right? So as soon as we change anything in this input field, so since this model is bound to this, so this gets changed, right? So I'll again type it, and you can see it's dynamically, the change is dynamically reflected on the view. So whatever I type in this field, I see it here because of this binding. So this is also called two-way data binding. So this is one way of two-way data binding, which means if I change anything on the view, using input fields, so that change is reflected to the data which is in the controller. And if I change anything in the controller, for example I have a button, ng click equal to, say, name equal to Sam. So for we can also write small code snippets instead of function calls in ng click directly here. Let me add a label to this button. Let's call it reset. So suppose I type a name, David. So this is one way of two-way data binding, which means whatever change I make in this input field, that change goes to the controller, goes to the model, and suppose I click this button and this model is changed. So whatever change happens in the model, that change is reflected on the view also. So let's see, if I press reset, then both these variables become Sam. So this is called two-way data binding. I'll repeat, whatever change I make in this view, in this browser, that change is reflected to the model, and whatever change I do in the model, when I press reset for example, that change is reflected or propagated to the view. So this is called two-way data binding, and it is one of the coolest feature of Angular. One more thing, this name, I did not initialize this name on $scope. So if you see app.js, there is nothing called $scope.name. So whenever Angular sees something like this on view in ng model, So it will automatically create a variable or a key name on $scope. So for example, if I have a new button, ng click equal to print name, something like this, print name $scope dot print name equal to function. It just logs $scope dot name on the console. So I have two variables. So as soon as I press this button, so whatever is on $scope.name, that gets printed. So if I type David and I do print name, I can see David here. So what Angular does, whenever it sees something, some variable being attached to ng model or anywhere in this view, for example, if I just write name equal to Sam or div ng init equal to xyz, uh, then it will, or it automatically creates that variable on $scope, right? So as soon as I print as soon as I press this button, so I get the current value of $scope.name. I hope that is clear. One more thing, for example, if I write person.name, so it assume, so whenever Angular sees something like this, it will first create an object person and then add a key name on it, and it will add this person on $scope. So if I refresh, and as soon as I type my first character D, let me print the person. So as soon as I type D, so it creates an object which has a name, right? So because of this ng model assignment, so since person object is not there on $scope, so it will create a empty object and then create a name key on it, David, right? So if I reset, it becomes name Sam because of person.name equal to Sam. Print name won't work because we are printing name there directly. So if I write scope dot person, then it should work, David. So if I press print name, so I see an object name David. So it automatically creates the full person object just by this assignment, ng model equal to person dot name. Right? We can even add one more field on person, for example, person dot age. So I have two input fields, person dot ng model equal to person dot name, ng model is equal to person dot age. So as soon as I type D, so it creates a object person and creates a key name on it and sets the value to D, David. And as soon as I type in the second input field, so it will try to create a it will see if person exists or not. It does, so it will create a key age on it. So I press 3 0. So my object is created now, the whole object. When I press this button, so I see the whole object, name David, age 30. So I hope two-way data binding is clear to you.